let's talk about media, soil. Let's talk about planting media because this is what we are going to do. What explain outside where we have where we're going to do hands-on. So your the standard potting media, which the conventional standard potting media, which we are going to show you outside, consists of topsoil. You know what I mean by topsoil? Topsoil is that the uppermost layer of your what? Your farm. That's the topsoil. The first from 0 cm to 30 what? cm. That's that is what we refer to as what? Topsoil. In fact, when you're doing your nursery, the best part of the topsoil to use is from 0 to what? 15 cm. So every topsoil, every standard nursery, every standard potting media consists of topsoil, river sand, and manure, which will be poultry manure or any other manure. That's the standard word nursery media. So, and it comes in the ratio of 3:2:1. That is 3 parts topsoil, 2 parts river sand, and 1 part poultry manure. In a layman's, let me explain that to you as though you're a layman. What this simply means is that if you're measuring the what you're going to use and compost your media with something like, say, a spade, the implication is that, of this statement is that you measure 3 what full what spade of what topsoil, 2 full what spade of what river sand, and 1 full what spade of what manure. That is 3:2:1. That's a layman's explanation of that. That ratio 3:2:1. Then one thing you must do is that after mixing this topsoil, river sand, and organic manure, you need to do what? You need to allow the poultry manure to do what? To decompose. You know, after the mixing, now you ensure that it is what? Moist, and allow it for some days, say a week or 2, to do what? To decompose. But then you can still do the compounding that day and plant that same day. That is only if the manure you're using is already what? Cured. We talk about cured poultry what? Manure. If the manure is cured, you can do what? Plant that same day. What I mean cured poultry manure, cured manure is one that's been what? Exposed, one that has decomposed. You know, when you go into the pen, the poultry house, and bring out poultry manure, you notice that it's usually what? Very, very hot. It's usually very, very hot. And you see things like gas coming out of what? The poultry manure. And that is why when you apply freshly poultry manure that is freshly brought out from the pen, you apply it directly to the maybe vegetables. The vegetables tend to do what? Die instantly. What kills the vegetable? The ammonia gas that what the poultry manure releases. So, and it is this same ammonia gas, the nitrogen, that when you allow the poultry manure to stay for some days, say a week or 2, it will be able to do what? Release those gas. That's the gas that pumps your crop. So you mix it with the topsoil and the river sand and allow it to stay for some days and do what? And decompose. But if you pre-cured your poultry manure, I mean you already brought out your poultry manure and allow it to do what? To undergo that decomposing process before mixing it with your topsoil and the river sand, then there may be no need to do what? To give it extra days to do what? Decompose. That's about standard nursery media. Now, I told people that This standard nursery media is no longer the knowledge is still valid. But when you go to the world industry where they are doing agriculture, you hardly see people who are practicing it these days. Because soilless media is what really. This standard nursery media is usually very bulky and very heavy because of the presence of the sand, the river sand and the topsoil. So people tend to use more of what cocoa beans. But then cocoa beans can be expensive and sometimes also toxic because most of the cocoa beans we use, the coconuts, are from from the beaches that are highly salty. So you need to be very, very careful if you want to raise your seedlings with cocoa beans. But then, if you want to use the type I use, which is rice husk or wood shavings, I mean the sawdust, plus other organic components like there's this, the pureria. I don't know if you know pureria, and all those we call them legumes, all leguminous crops. Have you heard of the word legumes before? Fine. If you can get your sawdust or rice husk, mix them together, add your poultry manure, and add these legumes. And sometimes you can still add other grasses like the elephant grass, just to increase the carbon content of your media. That makes it very, very wonderful. What legumes does, they add what? They help to increase what? The nitrogen content of what? The media. They are very, very what? Consistent. If you look at most greenhouses and screen houses, they plant on soilless media. They don't use your standard nursery media, your standard potting media. They have all gone what? Switched to the use of what? Soilless media. And I told you, assuming you want to do something like what we demonstrate outside, the vertical farming. Vertical farming, you want to plant like you're planting in the space. Sand will be very, very heavy for you to achieve your goal. You need something light so that by the time you do what, starch them on different layers, it will be very heavy. Sawdust, rice husk, and even the cocoa beans, they are very light. And that's why you can do what? You can suspend them, you can hang them, and they will do what? Stay there. You can hang them. But you can't try that. You can't easily do that with what? Sand, which is what? Very, very heavy. So, and nursery media, or rather, your potting media is more important in planting than the seed you're planting. Nursery media, potting media is more important than the seed you're planting. If you have the best seed and you're planting on in the wrong media, you're doing what? All you're doing is what? Zero. But you can get a seed that is not so let me use the word superb. Plant it on a good media, and everything will do what? Boom. You see what? Massive growth and what? Yield. But then, the best thing to do is have the best what? The best potting media and what? The best seed. It's just like when you want to go and plant in a farm. If you plant on a poor soil, no matter how good the seed you're planting is, the result will always be what? On the negative. So you need to care about your potting media. You need to care about your soil first. And in this case, what we're talking about is what? Soilless media. So the media you're going to plant on should be given what? Utmost what? Attention. Should receive the best of what? Attention. Once you get the media correct, the media right, every other thing will be what every other thing will what fall in place, every other thing will what align. So when we go out there now, we are going to practically demonstrate this how to mix your standard social media and also how to mix your word, your um, the other soilless media, the different types, and if possible, we can still show you a little of the hydroponics, how you can achieve that. But for the yam, the question you asked me about yam, when you plant it on a good media too, your yam will do very well, beautifully well. There's nothing like when you that statement you made. That why your question was why is that when you expect uh, a large harvest or big harvest from your yam, it gives you something not so good. But when you are not expecting anything from your yam, it gives you something very beautiful. No, agriculture, if you must practice agriculture, you have to be intentional. And people say what you give your soil is what it returns back to you. That's what they tell you. That statement is correct. You can't plant on a poor soil and expect a better what yield. And you cannot, do you have that yam here? It's in the car. If you like, carry the biggest size of yam on earth and put it in a hole and cover it. As far as that soil is not um, fertile, is not well prepared, the yam will even come out lesser than what you want planted. But then I will show you how I do yam multiplication. Yam multiplication, the one I call yam set. You will see that we will cut yams into tiny what sizes as little as 25, 30 what grams. Plant them in very what good media. At the end of the day, they will give you yams that you can yam that weigh above 25 what above 20 kg. Do you understand? In that case, what you give the soil is still what is giving you. Because people will think when they say what you give to the soil is what you to give you in return, they they limit that to the size of yam you're planting. They forget the fact that even the way you pulverize the word soil, the way you weed the farm, the manure you add to the soil, the way you attend to the yam when it's the tendrils on the stake, all of them put together translate to what you do, what you give to the what soil. It is not only about the size of the yam you put in the ground, it is about all the cultural practices put together. And when you get all the cultural practices right, which starts from what? The planting media, whether soilless or on the ground, it starts from the place where you're planting to the time you're what, when you're done with your last weeding. All of them put together, that means what you get from your yam. And don't forget, most of the times our people go and plant under shade, forgetting the fact that every single thing about agriculture revolves towards around photosynthesis, around the sun. Because the sun is the primary source of what energy to both man and what animals, and even towards plants. So let me take your question before we go out. What's your question, please? Have the microphone.
I wanted to ask, what of you added water to the land and you put the and it give you the result you want? Or is it
Repeat your question.
what of you added water out to the land and you planted your yam and it didn't give you what you want? Or are there different lines to use for planting?
Let me have your own question too, so that I'll answer all of them together. Use the microphone well. Hold it this way. Hold it well. Hold it well, like this. Bring it closer. It doesn't bite. Yeah, continue.
After planting
Yes.
and something like let's say and like how like how do that is
How?
that is
Okay, we'll talk about plant. That's about plant protection. We'll talk about that. Your question: there is no way that you give the soil, the yam, all it needs in the media that it will give you good yield. That's the truth. Yes, there are soils that or rather crops have their what soil requirements. That no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Yeah, and that's why if you want to be a farmer, you have to choose your the soil that is most suitable for the particular crop you want to do what grow. But all things being equal, once you provide all that the plant needs, it definitely must do what? Do well. And we're talking about soilless media here. Once you prepare your soilless media very well, you don't have any business with the soil, the ground where you're placing it. The bag where you're planting the yam is what determines where the is what you're going to get, not the ground where you kept the bag. Do you understand me? So today we're talking about soilless media, and I think it's time we'll go outside and okay, you have a question. Sorry, dog. Can I just take my own question? Okay. Our facilitator said we'll take the question outside. So when we go outside, we'll take your questions. And for my audience who are listening to me on YouTube, when we go get to the field, we resume our live stream. Thank you and God bless you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope we had a good rest yesterday. No rest at all. Don't worry. After tomorrow, or at least you are